All right, everyone, buckle up because the news cycle is absolutely exploding today, and we've got the hottest takes right here on Tarnished Tales. We're diving headfirst into stories that are shaking up industries and sparking conversations across the globe. Get ready for updates you absolutely cannot afford to miss as we break down the latest developments that are setting the agenda. From major legal summons to surprising acquisitions, we're covering it all with the energy and insight you expect. This is where the pulse of what's happening now truly beats. Let's get into it. First up, a seismic shakeup in the gaming world as a prominent industry titan faces a significant legal challenge. We're talking about a top executive being called to answer in court, a development that's sending ripples through the entire sector. What does this mean for the company and the industry at large? We've got the details you need to understand the gravity of this situation. Then, we pivot to an acquisition that's turning heads. It seems a legendary name in gaming has just scooped up a collection of beloved classics, breathing new life into titles that many thought were long gone. What does this mean for the future of these games and the players who grew up with them? We're breaking down this exciting move. But that's not all. We're also digging into the specifics of this major gaming acquisition, exploring the strategy behind bringing these fan-favorite titles back into the spotlight. Get ready for a deep dive into what this means for the gaming landscape and the potential for these revived franchises. And finally, we've got an update on another surprising business maneuver that's caught everyone's attention. This story involves a significant company making a bold move that could reshape its future. We're unpacking the implications and what it means for everyone involved. Stay locked in because this is Tarnished Tales and you're getting the unfiltered truth. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you never miss a beat. A CEO under scrutiny. Ubisoft's top executive, Yves Guillemot, has been summoned to appear before a French court this October. A significant development following recent convictions against 3 former company executives for harassment. This legal summons, issued by the Union Solidaires Informatiques and 4 individuals involved in the prior case, centers on the same facts that led to the convictions of Serge Hasquet, Tommy Francois, and Guillaume Patrux in July, who received suspended prison sentences and fines for psychological and sexual harassment. Ubisoft confirmed the summons, stating, "A union and 4 individuals have issued a summons to Ubisoft to appear before the Bobigny District Court on October 1, adding that these are the same parties and based on the same facts as the case judged in June. The company highlighted that following an investigation by the Public Prosecutor's Office, it was determined there were no grounds to initiate criminal proceedings against Ubisoft or its management, a stance reiterated in the closing arguments of the previous trial. Ubisoft has pledged to continue cooperating with the justice system, as it has for the past 5 years during the review of these allegations. The allegations of widespread abuse and harassment within Ubisoft first surfaced publicly in 2020, prompting a year-long investigation by French police. This investigation resulted in the arrest of 5 former executives in 2023. In response to these events, Cécile Russell, Ubisoft's executive vice president, emphasized the company's commitment, stating, "Our top priority is to ensure the absolute protection of the physical and moral integrity of its employees, through a policy of prevention and zero tolerance with regard to sexual or moral harassment, sexist behavior, assault, insult, or discrimination of any kind." This summons places a spotlight back on the company's internal culture and its handling of harassment claims, even as it continues to navigate industry challenges and develop new titles. This summons is a critical moment, potentially impacting the company's leadership and public perception as it faces further judicial review. Next, we're diving into a surprising acquisition that's set to bring some classic gaming titles back from the brink. Gaming icons find a new home. In a move that has sent waves of excitement through the gaming community, Atari has officially acquired the intellectual property rights to 5 classic Ubisoft titles: Cold Fear 2005, I Am Alive 2012, Child of Eden 2011, Grow Home 2015, and Grow Up 2016. This strategic acquisition, announced via a press release, signifies Atari's ongoing commitment to expanding its portfolio and revitalizing beloved gaming franchises. The company plans to re-release these titles under its own publishing label, with an ambitious vision to offer updated formats, new content, and extended distribution channels. This acquisition marks a significant step for Atari, following its recent acquisition of most of Thunderful Group AB, indicating a clear strategy of growth through intellectual property acquisition. Deborah Papiernik, Vice President of New Business, expressed enthusiasm for the acquisition, stating, "Millions of players have experienced these worlds over the years, and this will open the door for longtime players to revisit those memories while inviting new audiences to discover them for the first time." She further elaborated on Atari's vision, noting, "Atari has a rich gaming legacy and deep appreciation for these classic titles. We're excited to see how they'll evolve and connect with players in fresh, meaningful ways." Wade Rosen, chairman and CEO of Atari, echoed this sentiment, drawing a parallel between the two companies' legacies. Ubisoft and Atari both have a legacy of crafting worlds that players can fall in love with, games that resonate with generations of players, not just for how they played, but for how they made us feel. We're excited to reintroduce these titles while also exploring ways to expand and evolve these franchises. This partnership underscores a shared appreciation for the impact these games have had on players across different eras. The community is buzzing with anticipation, eager to see how these classic titles will be reimagined for modern platforms and whether new content will breathe fresh life into these cherished gaming experiences. This acquisition is more than just a business deal. It's a nostalgic journey and a promise of new adventures for gamers everywhere. But what exactly is Atari planning to do with these newly acquired gems? We're about to find out. Atari's Grand Revival Plan. Atari has officially announced its acquisition of the intellectual property rights to 5 classic Ubisoft games, a move that signals a significant push to reintroduce and evolve these fan-favorite titles. The games now under Atari's umbrella are Cold Fear, I Am Alive, Child of Eden, Grow Home, and Grow Up. Atari's ambitious plan involves re-releasing these titles on modern platforms, enhancing them with new content, and expanding their reach through updated distribution channels. This acquisition is a key part of Atari's strategy to leverage its rich gaming legacy and bring cherished experiences to both longtime fans and new audiences. According to the statement released, Atari intends to re-release these titles under their publishing label and explore opportunities to expand their reach through updated formats, new content, and extended distribution channels. This suggests a comprehensive approach to revitalizing these games, going beyond simple ports to potentially include significant enhancements and new gameplay elements. Atari CEO and Chairman Wade Rosen highlighted the synergy between the two companies, stating, "Ubisoft and Atari both have a legacy of crafting worlds that players can fall in love with, games that resonate with generations of players, not just for how they played, but for how they made us feel. We're excited to reintroduce these titles while also exploring ways to expand and evolve these franchises." This sentiment was echoed by Ubisoft's Vice President of New Business, Deborah Papiernik, who noted, "Millions of players have experienced these worlds over the years, and this will open the door for longtime players to revisit those memories while inviting new audiences to discover them for the first time." Delving into the specifics of the acquired titles, Cold Fear, a survival horror game from 2005 developed by Darkworks, put players in the shoes of a U.S. Coast Guard ensnared in a zombie outbreak on a Russian whaling ship. Child of Eden, directed by the renowned Tetsuya Mizuguchi, is a rhythm-based rail shooter celebrated for its innovative use of motion controls, originally released in 2011. I Am Alive, a post-apocalyptic adventure game from 2012, tasked players with navigating a devastated world in search of loved ones. Finally, the charming robotic adventure Grow Home and its sequel Grow Up, released in 2015 and 2016 respectively, centered on a robot named Bud scaling a giant beanstalk to save its home planet. The prospect of these games receiving modern updates and potentially new content has generated considerable excitement, with many speculating about the possibilities for each title. Fans are eagerly anticipating the re-release details and the potential for these beloved games to find a new audience on contemporary gaming platforms. This strategic move by Atari is set to reignite interest in these gaming classics. And what does this mean for Ubisoft's other dormant franchises? We'll keep you posted. Atari's strategic IP acquisition. Atari has made a significant move in the gaming industry by acquiring the intellectual property rights to 5 key franchises previously held by Ubisoft. The acquired titles include the survival horror game Cold Fear, the post-apocalyptic adventure I Am Alive, the rhythm-based rail shooter Child of Eden, and the unique climbing adventures Grow Home and its sequel Grow Up. This acquisition is part of Atari's broader strategy to reintroduce iconic creations to the market, promising to bring them to new platforms and under renewed publishing frameworks. All 5 titles will be re-released under Atari's own publishing label, ensuring a unified approach to their revival. According to a statement from Atari, the company plans to reintroduce iconic creations, bringing them to new platforms and renewed publishing frameworks. This indicates a commitment to not only making these games accessible on modern hardware, but also potentially enhancing them with new features or content to appeal to a contemporary audience. Deborah Papiernik, Ubisoft's VP of New Business, shared her perspective on the deal, stating, "Millions of players have experienced these worlds over the years, and this will open the door for long-time players to revisit those memories while inviting new audiences to discover them for the first time." She also expressed optimism about Atari's stewardship of these IPs. Atari has a rich gaming legacy and deep appreciation for these classic titles. We're excited to see how they'll evolve and connect with players in fresh, meaningful ways. This sentiment highlights a mutual respect for the legacy of these games and a shared vision for their future. This acquisition comes at an interesting time for Ubisoft, which has recently focused on major franchise expansions, including the creation of a subsidiary company for its Assassin's Creed, Far Cry, and Tom Clancy's Rainbow Six brands with a substantial investment from Tencent. Ubisoft has also partnered with Saudi Arabia's Public Investment Fund for content related to Assassin's Creed Mirage. These strategic moves by Ubisoft occur amidst a period of high-profile challenges, including game cancellations, studio closures, and layoffs, which have put significant pressure on the company, especially leading up to the release of Assassin's Creed Shadows. The sale of these 5 dormant franchises to Atari could be seen as a move to streamline its portfolio and focus resources on its core, active brands. The gaming community has reacted with a mix of nostalgia and anticipation, eager to see how Atari will breathe new life into these cult classics and whether they will introduce new content or gameplay mechanics. This deal signifies a strategic pivot for Ubisoft and a bold expansion for Atari. And what's next on the horizon for these revitalized franchises? We'll be watching closely. And that's a wrap on today's essential updates. We saw a major legal summons for Ubisoft's CEO, Atari snagging 5 classic Ubisoft titles for a revival, and a deep dive into the strategy behind bringing those games back to life, plus another significant business move that's changing the game. Don't miss out on any of the action. Hit that like button, subscribe to Tarnished Tales for more, ring that notification bell so you're always in the loop, and drop a comment below to let us know your thoughts. Make sure to follow us on all our social channels for even more exclusive content. We'll catch you in the next one.